So recently, a British man got married to a Nigerian lady, and there were different comments on their social media handles, especially that of the man's. Looking at the comment, you will see comment varying from, oh, she got married to him because of papers. Different comment regarding the lady saying that when she gets what she needs, she would definitely move on. And there's been this talk about passport bros, but when you hear talks about passport bros, most of the time, it is about Asian countries, specifically American men going to this country to search for soulmate. And there is less talk about men going to Africa to search for wives. So in this video, I'm going to let you know why men are also looking at Africa when it comes to getting a wife material. Now, one of the major reasons why there's a high divorce rate in Western countries as compared to Africa is weddings. Marriage in Western countries is mostly between individuals, but marriage in Africa is the coming together of two families. That is why it is very difficult for divorces like no-fault divorce to exist. Not just that, you see in the UK or in any other Western countries, when people want to get married, they don't do their findings. They don't find out the family is from. They don't find out whether there's a rare genetic condition. They don't find out the character of the family that any of their children are getting into. However, in African countries, amongst African countries, specifically my country, Nigeria, when you make the decision that you want to get married and you inform your family about this decision, then your family would start making findings about the family their daughter or their son wants to get married into. So when they hear news that they are not supposed to hear about the family, they would instantly call off the wedding. In fact, particularly in the eastern part of Nigeria, each of the families would send someone to the town or the village of the potential spouse, not to ask their family members if they are of good character, not to ask their family members if their son or their daughter is a good person. They would ask fellow people in that town or village about the family their children are getting married into. And if they hear a good reputation about the family, they would definitely go on with the wedding. But if it's a false information or information that indicates that the marriage or the wedding will not happen, then the marriage will not exist. Now in Nigeria and other Western countries, you see men who want to get married start getting down on their knees to propose to women. But originally in African culture, men don't bow to women that they want to get married to. Rather, we bow to the family of the bride. I don't know, maybe because men kneel to propose marriage to women. Maybe that's why it gives women the power to make the decision as to whether it's a yes or a no. I remember vividly when I was, getting married to my wife, we did a traditional marriage. Now, traditional marriages don't exist in Western countries. It does actually exist in African countries where, we follow the traditional way of marriage, put on traditional outfits, follow our customary laws. So when men bow to the family, when there are issues in the marriage and the man has spoken to his wife as to how the issues can be best resolved and she's not listening, he will take the matter up with the family of the girl. This could be her mom, her dad, her elder sister or elder brother, someone who would be willing to speak sense into her. But when you compare this to a Western marriage, because the marriage was not a coming together of families, at the end, the man would have to seek professional counsel from all these counselors and all these, people who call themselves shrinks. And we both know that most time when these people come into the picture, they are not there to settle the marriage. They are often there to make sure everybody gets what they want. This next point I'm about to talk about might blow your mind. In fact, there are some people that have a very negative view about it, but it has been one of the reasons why marriages has worked in Africa, so to say. So most times when a man is getting married to a woman in Africa, they usually look at how much he can afford. They usually look at whether he can take care of himself and the daughter who he wants to marry. And naturally, in Africa, men potentially carry, or men averagely are wealthier than women. And that is why in marriages also, you would also see that the man is the breadwinner. Unlike Western countries where the woman brings something to the table, the man brings something to the table. In African countries, between husband and wife, the man is usually the full-time provider. Now, that causes a restraint on her when she wants to divorce him. And most of the time, let's face it, when you look at stats, women are not divorcing their husbands for genuine reasons. I'm not saying that there are no reasons, but most of the time, they are not divorcing their husbands on genuine reasons. And when these reasons to divorce her husband are not genuine, she knows that when she leaves, because she's living with nothing, she would likely want to rethink her decision. But in a place like the UK, America, when she makes the decision to divorce her husband, she automatically knows that she's entitled to 50% of his property. But due to financial constraints in Africa, it's always hard for women to make that divorce decision. And because of that, there are lower divorce rates in Africa. When you watch many of the content creators on YouTube talking about divorce or talking about relationships in general, they have always said that they need to bring back shame. One of the reasons why divorce is on the high side in Western countries is because people no longer have shame. Back home, a woman will be scared of cheating because she knows that when she's caught, shame will be on her. Not just on her, there will be shame on her family as well, because she knows that the public or the community would chastise her for doing that or for making that decision. Also, when a woman decides to divorce her husband and to become single, the shame culture will definitely catch up with her. So in a place like the UK, where women jump from one man to another, in Nigeria, when you divorce your husband, you have made it difficult for you to remarry. I'm not saying it's impossible for many of these women to get married, but most times they don't marry a single man. They marry men that already have wives. So which means when they are getting married again, they become second wives or third wives. So many years ago, most time women are married off before they even clock the age of 21. The community believes that when she gets married before the age of 21, it cuts off her whole phase. And because of that, she gets married as a virgin. Because of that also, she is willing to stick to that one man that she has always been married to. So, and that is why, as at then, we had marriages that were up to 40 years, 45 years. People that got married, literally, immediately they became adults and their marriage lasted till they died. Now, there's a trend in Africa. Women are also wanting to, experience life before they actually get married. Some of them even want to, become rich, become wealthy before they get married. This exposure, despite the fact that it is not 100% good for Africa, guess what? Marriages are not still as high as it is in Western countries. This means that there is a lot of work to be done when it comes to how people perceive marriage in these Western countries. So if you see any American man or British man going all the way to Africa to pick a wife, I'm sure now you know the reasons why he has gone there. And you would also know that there's likelihood that his marriage will last way longer. Let me know your thoughts about this down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.